Hi folks, Gordon Brewer here with the Practice of Therapy. This is my second video blog, so hopefully I'll get a little better at this. One of the things that came up for me today as I was walking this morning and listening to the podcast that I enjoy listening to was the idea of mindset. And one of the things that I started chewing on in my brain was, what is the mindset of someone going into private practice, and what sort of mindset does it require? And so I thought I'd talk about that a little bit. I think the one thing to realize when you go into private practice is to make sure that you have a business mindset. A lot of times, especially for us therapists, we are not necessarily business people, or have never really been trained in running a business, or even in sales for that matter. As a matter of fact, I think about, for me with sales, it's just a big turnoff. But one of the things about being in private practice is that you do need to sell yourself. You need to be able to tell people why coming to you would be of benefit, and how you can help. So one of the things that I think is a good thing to spend time on early on is learning about being in business. Just learning some business basics, learning some accounting, learning some basic marketing skills, learning how to network with people and make those contacts, because really the bottom line to making money in private practice is seeing you have to have clients coming to you and a steady set of referrals coming in. So spend some time learning about marketing and learning how to do those things. Again, lots of great resources out there, and I put some of those on my website, on this blog, The Practice of Therapy. So let me know what areas. I'm always wanting to learn from other people what they want and what they need for their private practice, and maybe places you get stuck. So if you think of something that you want to learn, or an aspect of running a business or running a private practice that you're not too sure of, send me an email, and if I don't know the answer, I will hopefully point you in the right direction with other resources. Let's see. The other thing that I had in mind as I was thinking about the mindset of being in private practice this morning was the importance of educating yourself. I've kind of said that already, but learning new skills. So for me, one of the things that I had to learn early on was about websites. And I'm one of those people that really likes to do stuff on my own. And part of the reason I like to do stuff on my own is that it gives me a chance to learn. And so one of the things I did early on in my private practice was learned how to build a website, and knew nothing about it when I started. And so I researched it online, started finding out about things. The first website I had, well, it wasn't great. It was really kind of crappy if you think about it. But one of the things that I did learn eventually, and really spent time learning, was how to use WordPress, because as I started doing and learning about websites, I figured out that WordPress was the way to go, as in terms of having the most flexibility, the most features, and also that that platform is really good for search engine optimization, which is again another area that I would encourage you to learn about if you're thinking about going into private practice. The other thing I would say is when you go into private practice, and especially when you take the big step of going into it full time, you know, we all dream of having a private practice, and especially if you've been working for somebody else or been an employee somewhere, we think about being our own boss and how fun that would be, and how much it would seem like there's a lot of pressure taken off. But let me tell you, working for yourself isn't necessarily easier, but it is very rewarding in that sense, and that you get to make your own decisions. One of the things that I learned is I had to be much more disciplined. I'm not naturally an organized person, and so it has forced me to learn some new skills on how to organize and how to run a business and get into a routine that I don't get behind in things. You know, one of the things that I hated when I was working for an agency, especially one that was being funded by state resources, was the amount of paperwork that it required. You know, you had to, the particular place that I worked, we had to do treatment plans weekly, and we had to do update discharge summaries, and in addition to our session notes, and just all of this stuff to keep the state happy. And guess what? In private practice, there's not that kind of volume of paperwork, but you do have paperwork. You still have to make do your session notes and document things and follow up with things. You know, one of the things that I never anticipated were getting requests for records for like people that are applying for disability, that sort of thing. And so being on top of your paperwork and being in that kind of being organized with your routine is an important mindset to keep when you're in private practice. The other thing that I think you have to be in a mindset for is, like I mentioned earlier, is being able to sell your private practice, being able to generate a constant stream of referrals. And what that does require is being able to market yourself and getting your name out there, so that when people think of being a counselor or needing therapy or are going to get counseling, they think of you and that your name stands out for them. Again, one of the things that has been a big payoff for me is learning about websites and how to do some online marketing. And I would just encourage everyone to maybe put a little bit of time into that on the front end. The other thing is just learning some basic accounting principles, learning about you know, how to do taxes, about how to keep records, about income, expenses, all those kinds of things that we don't necessarily learn in graduate school or in our training to be therapists. So that's an important piece to educate yourself on. Quick story, just about learning that occurred to me too this morning when I was listening to some of the podcasts on mindset. Really, when I was before I went into graduate school, one of the things that I had never had was a statistics course, and that was one of the prerequisites for my graduate study. I've never been good at math. That's just something I've always struggled with in school. In fact, when I went to college originally, I had planned on being a pre-med major. Well, guess what? You've got to be able to be pretty good at math, and the thing that kind of weeded me out was just chemistry and the math required for that. Now, in hindsight, it's not that I wasn't capable of doing it. It's just that I didn't put the effort into learning it or into figuring out how to do chemistry formulas and do all the math and the stuff that's required on that. So when I decided to go to graduate school, one of the things that I had to have was a course in statistics. So I made it through that, but I think what helped me make it through that was just my persistence, putting in some daily effort into learning it, and I was so happy to get out of that course with a great big B, and I was able to do it. And so all of this stuff about having a private practice and learning things that maybe seem a little uncomfortable, I would encourage you to do. Like learning how to do websites, learning about HTML code, learning about accounting, learning about marketing. All of those things are things that you need to know, but I think it's important to get into the mindset that you can learn it and it's possible for you to do. So that's all I've got for today. Be doing some more of these video blogs, and I'll put a few notes down below here. And and one other thing is, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, and you can get, if you sign up for my newsletter, and you'll see that this here on the website, I'll send you a free copy of my private practice workbook for counselors, and it's just my take on what you need to do to start a private practice and the things that you need to think about. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching.